Hey everyone, I am back. First and foremost, to the 35, 36 of you that still stuck around, thank you so much. I really appreciate your patience and understanding, and I hope you know that it really means a lot to me. So, before I dive in, I want to provide some structure, streamline, and provide an essence for what my channel is about and what I want it to be moving forward. So, at its foundation, this channel is about growth and learning, not just presentation. It's going to focus a lot on the process of getting to conclusions, ideas, perspectives, um, instead of just being outcome driven. And I'm kind of inspired to take this type of road for my channel because our world is extremely outcome driven, and usually that leads to some type of tangible credibility in the traditional sense. And I think there's a lot more importance to the process that a lot of us do neglect. More on that in a bit. But the essence is going to be, the foundations of it is going to be growth and learning. And I will still continue my mindset driven content. So, not advice, but a mindset will still be there. But I also do want the option to do different facets with my channel. And my mindset driven content will be based off of lived experience, as my most, loyal members know. But a lot of my content, especially long form, will be patterns that I've noticed, conversations that I've had, ideas that I've sat around with and just want a container to put it out into. And I'm also going to be documenting what feels relevant and meaningful to me and letting that extend outward. So I am 21. And this will be a reflection of how I see the world right now. And I think the beauty of having a channel is getting to see how you grow and maybe change in certain ways due to your age and hopefully the level of maturity that compounds with that age. And that doesn't really mean that this early perspective right now is empty or unserious or lacks a base. It just means that I'm grounded in where I'm at right now, and over time, my ideas will deepen, expand, and sharpen. As you know, that's the process of growth. And I'm not going to pretend and say I have concrete, finished ideas. I have conclusions that I've sat with and will provide my process for. And I would like to hear your input and understandings on that. I also do want a core value of this channel to be very dialogue driven. I care deeply about respectful, real, uncut dialogue. Growth does not happen without friction or some type of discomfort that you learn to work with or understand and integrate. And I do expect to be challenged. I don't want a bunch of yes men. If you hear any of my perspectives or any of my ideas and you're like, I don't really agree with that. I see what you're saying, but please feel free to challenge me. That's the whole point. That's exactly what I want. Tell me where you might disagree with or what could make my perspective more raw, more deeper, more encompassing of what I might have been missing. So, yeah, I welcome disagreement, especially when there's good thoughtfulness behind it, because that's the only way to learn in my eyes. And I also do want this as an essence of my channel because I want to understand how other people reason, not really just defend my own view. That's not the goal. This is the process that led to this conclusion, and whether you agree with it or not, tell me your process and let me learn from it, basically. And hopefully you can learn something from me too. And I want to build a community. This is the core of it. This is why I'm back. But I want to build a community of people that might think like me or think very deeply or are just curious about thinking more deeply or thinking more nuanced per se. People who can sharpen the perspective that I'm going to bring and not necessarily flatten it. And this isn't about agreement, as mentioned. It's about intellectual engagement. I'm curious about what other people think like me. That's really the main thing in my head right now. I want to know if people think the way I think. And obviously it's like, well, Eva, there's like 8 billion people on the planet. Of course, someone's got to think the way you think. But I'm curious, I think a lot, and I want this platform to be a strong container for how I view the world, and just be interesting to see like how my thoughts are interpreted and understood and taken in when they're visible. I will be honest about that hiatus. There was a bit of self-doubt that prompted that hiatus over the summer when I started this channel. I was excited. I thought it was cool. Was putting myself out there and getting out of my comfort zone a little bit. And I questioned a lot on whether I should still be doing this. And this also came from the fact that I have a very limited social presence. I don't really like the comparison culture that social media cultivates. It's like, a highlight reel, and that's not really reality. And that also made me realize how the relationship between credibility and outcome is very interlinked and intertwined. And it made me doubt my credibility a lot to even start something like this. But the conclusion I came to was that I don't really need any type of formal external credibility to think the way I think. My credibility comes from how I think, and not how I'm perceived or what accolades I have to prompt that or give basis to that. I also very much value the process over the outcome. As I've iterated, I'm not here to show polished results all the time. That's not real, and I don't want to be like that. There's a lot of curation in the creator space already, and it's not really my goal to add to that. I care more about the process, the synthesis that comes along with that process, and how the understanding and the conclusions really form. What experiences, what beliefs, what values motivated all of that moving forward, or even what also influenced things behaviorally or psychology-wise too, especially in academic and institutional spaces. Outcomes get overvalued a lot, and I would like to bring and highlight the process, because I'm more interested in how one arrives to a conclusion more than the conclusion itself. And as mentioned, it says a lot about how people move through the world. So in essence, this channel is a social experiment. I will be sharing my ideas before they're perfectly packaged, and I just want to share my ideas to see how they live in our very digitized social world. And I want to see what happens when I make that process visible, when it's not perfect all the time, when I'm just speaking from talking points and talking like this with you right now. And I am going to watch my ideas evolve over time and kind of walk through that process of like maybe refining some previous ideas as well. And not a mindset, not advice, but a mindset, sorry, will still be a core facet of this channel, because the experiences that I've been through or the thought process that I've cultivated, if that can help someone, or if that can even prompt some level of thinking, I've done my job. And it makes me feel that that experience was worth going through, because maybe it serves to help another, and that's worth it to me. So I'm not out here to give instructions. I offer mindsets that I've cultivated because of what I've been through and how I chose to understand, contextualize, intellectualize, and implement that. And like any type of mindset advice content, you take what resonates and leave what doesn't, because that is the essence of advice. And if I could even make someone pause or view a perspective differently, it's enough for me. So going forward, I do want to be as consistent as possible. It is my last semester in undergrad, so it will be a little busy, but I do want to make this a priority, and finally learn to be consistent with something in my life. I appreciate all of you for being here. And yeah, I'm really excited to build this community of thinkers and let the social experiment begin.